Now, most people want the easiest possible way to grow their own produce. Fundamentally, we all want the same thing when push comes to shove, and that is the best possible yield. With that in mind, what is the best way to grow our own produce? Is it using hydroponics or aeroponics? Well, I'm joined in the studio today by a man who sells both kinds of systems, so hopefully he can give us his own expert opinion and shed some light. His name is Matt. He's here on behalf of Platinium Hydroponics. Matt, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Nick?
I'm very well, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, good. Always.
Well, thanks for joining us today. So hopefully you're going to give us some information about the pot systems that Platinium supply.
Yep.
So first of all, can you explain the types of systems that Platinium manufacture?
Yeah, the Platinium hydroponic system, basically, it's quite an extensive range. And you touched on it earlier there, the two sort of main ways of growing it, hydroponically and aeroponically. This system incorporates, basically, that's the crux of the system. There's 8 different types. Firstly, you've got the aeroponic type, which is we've got an Aero Star, an Aero Pro and an Aero Top. Then you've got your hydroponic style, which basically is the other 5. You've got the Hydro Grow for a single plant system, Hydro Star, Hydro Pro, Ebb and Flow and Hydro Storm. So basically, within the system as a whole, Platinium, we cover both angles.
That's quite an extensive range, so I mean, could you say that there's something for everybody?
Yeah, definitely within the modular system as a whole. I think there's something there for the absolute beginner, which is the single plot Hydro Grow system, which basically has a system that sort of feeds via a pump as opposed to hand feeding, one plant to look after, right up to the aeroponic Aero Top system, which is a little bit more tricky to use, and it's probably a little bit alien to what people are used to in household plants. But yeah, I'd say the range of Platinium from beginner right the way through to expert.
So what is it that makes the Platinium systems different to that's already on the market?
Okay, yeah, there's quite a few things. The first one, what I would say is it's a brand new design system. Quite a lot of the systems that are similar that have been out there quite a while now. So this is it's quite an up-to-date version. There's a few nice little quirky details on there, like the viewing panel, which helps when the system's sort of going. In these kinds of systems, you can get a bit busy, but you can sort of take the panel off, get inside, see your water level, sort of adjust the pump if required, and basically fill and check your nutrient solution. Another sort of one of the biggest benefits of the system is it is a modular system, so there's quite a varied amount of types of systems. But more importantly, we've been sort of in the game quite a while now. There's a lot of tent sales that have happened, and this system, predominantly in the first part of the launch, has got systems that fit most sizes of tents that's out there. So 40 by 40 centimetre, 60 by 60, 80 by 80, metre by metre, 1.2 by 1.2. And they're all nice and square, like I said, modular, and they fit the tents lovely. So yeah, it covers basically from the beginner right through to the expert. Okay,
Matt, so would you argue that the Platinium systems give you more control over your grow?
Yeah, control definitely, which is very important once you're growing, and also flexibility, I think is a key point I'd like to put in there. Flexibility being the systems, you've basically, you've got 8 different styles of system in terms of sizing, 40 by 40, 60 by 60, 80 by 80, metre by metre, and 1.2 by 1.2, and that's centimetres, and that's square modular systems because the amount of tents that have sort of been used and people, because of the spaces at premium, people grow in tents. So we've sort of based this first module and the first launch of the Platinium is to fit within those perimeters. And yeah, the flexibility again is, you touched on earlier that we've got aeroponics and hydroponics. Really, that's a choice. Hydroponics, on the simpler sort of systems, and maybe for the beginners, the aeroponic, a little bit more tricky to get your head round and to deliver basically, and that's maybe for the expert. But this system sort of combines the both, that you can basically, and this is one of the plus points of the Platinium, is the flexibilities. You can actually jump from one system to the other. So you've got the standard, what people will probably get their heads around in terms of feeding the plant instead of hand feeding a house plant. You can basically set up a system that feeds it on itself through an irrigation system, and then you've got ones basically that grow minus soil, which is aeroponic, hydroponics combined together.
Okay, well that all sounds very interesting, but for someone like me, it's also quite confusing.
Okay.
Why have you got so many different systems?
Okay, yeah, there's quite a lot of systems in there, and basically what we've tried to do is reach out to each different level of grower, from the beginner right to the expert, and also in terms of the systems, people have favourable methods that they use. So yeah, I take your point, it can be a little bit confusing, but quite simply, and the best way to sort of break it down is, you choose your size of tank, which is obviously all to do with how much space you've got to grow. And once you sort of got your parameters of the actual tank, you then decide which method you want to go with. Is it a dripper, standard dripper, which is quite relatively easy, or is it into a little bit more technical aeroponic? And then we've got a few systems that sort of sit in between. So the easiest way to break it down is, number one, sort of how much room have you got? Number two, what method do you fancy? And number three, let's get to it.
For those people that are new to hydroponics, what would be a good entry-level system for them to start with?
I think the HydroGrower. HydroGrower is probably the most simple one in terms of most people have a vision of a house plant needs watering, hand feeding, and once you sort of got that built in, that we've got a pump that basically is doing it for you. You've got a reservoir filling and pumping in, and with the HydroGrower, it's basically clay pebbles is a great and ideal medium for anybody to start in, and it's a one plant system. And I think once you get to multi-sites, you're getting a little bit more technical, but once you sort of got your head around the whole principle of hydroponics, of growing into the sort of one plant system, which is the HydroGrower, and then you can build from there. And like I said, the flexibility of the system would let you build, if you wanted to go then into straight hydroponics or aeroponics. So
what sorts of plants does the Platinium system cater for?
Again, you've got quite a range to go at because of the flexibility of the system. You've got the Hydrostone and Ebb and Flow, which are basically grown within stone wool, and they're for smaller herbs, basil, lettuces. That's perfectly ideal. Then you've got the Star range, and Star being 6.4 litre pots, which is the medium-sized pot, and that sort of kit is in between. And then you've got the Pro kits, and that's basically anything that's Pro is an 11 litre pot, and you can grow larger plants, tomatoes, your chilies, your cucumbers. So again, you've got a range from smaller plants to bigger plants, and then anything in between.
So now you're going to give us a demonstration of setting up one of the Platinium systems. Which one have you brought for us to look at today?
Today we brought the Hydro Pro, which is a Pro 11 litre system, and it's the 1 metre version. So that's Hydro Pro 100 centimetre by 100 centimetre, gives you 12 11 litre pots.
Okay then Matt, should we do it?
Why not?
Let's do it.